So here are some polar equations of conics. I will give these to you. So these will actually be given to you. You don't have to memorize these. So put on a happy face for once. And what we're going to have is we're going to have r equals e times p all over 1 plus or minus e cosine theta, or r equals ep all over 1 plus or minus e sine of theta. So this is when your equation has an orientation on the x-axis because of your cosine, and this would be when you have an orientation on your y-axis because of the sine. Now what does the p stand for? Well, p is the distance between your focus and the directrix. And it's the absolute value. So p is your absolute value. It is not ever negative. So this is never negative. Actually, this right up here. This is always positive. Always a positive value. So let's get into writing equations for these types of conics. Actually, what we need to do is we need to identify the type of conic. So we need to get it to look like one of these forms back here. Well, it has a cosine, so it's going to have to look like this up here. Your first option. Notice you have a 1 here. So what we're going to have to do is, if we don't have a 1 here, we need to divide everything by 2. We also have a number right here. But in order to get a 1 right here, we're going to have to divide this by 2, this by 2, and this number by 2. So that will give us the equation of a 1 over, and that's a horrible line, 1 over a 1 plus a 1/2 cosine theta. So what we need to do is we need to look for our e value. Our e is in front of your cosine. So if you look at the value in front of your cosine theta, that will tell you what your equation is. So if we look at our number right here, 1/2. Here, e is equal to 1/2. Well, we also know that 1/2 is less than 1. So if our e is less than 1, that means that we're going to end up getting an ellipse as your shape. So when you want to say what your answer is, you got to look for your e value, and you have to state your shape, your shape. All right, so that's for example 1a. Let's try example b. In fact, if you want to pause and try to figure out yourself, knock yourself out. Let's see what we get. Well, we need a 1 right in front. This has to be a 1. Okay, look at your general form. You have a 1 right here. Look, when this is a 1, then you can find out what your e is. So if we take this and we're going to divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3, that's going to give us a different equation of 25/3 over a 1 minus 2/3 cosine theta. So in this case, our e is a 2/3. So once again, wonderfully enough, e is going to be equal to a 2/3. It's not a negative 2/3, it's just 2/3. So that means that 2/3 is less than 1, which gives us, once again, another ellipse. So what you have to do is you have to make sure you get a 1 in front, down here in front of your plus or your minus. You may have to do a little division, but then you're only and always looking at this number that is in front of your cosine or your sine. If it is between 0 and 1, you have an ellipse. If it is equal to 1, you have a parabola, and if it is greater than 1, you have a hyperbola.